Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be joined by Karen Rands from Rands Capital Holding. Karen, thanks so much for joining us.
Delighted to be here, Seth. Love the show. So great to be a guest on it.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Let's go back in time. How did you and Rand get started?
Okay, well, it is a long story, but I will keep it brief because, when you're at my age, you have lots of little winding roads that get you to where you are. And so, short answer, I left IBM as the deal maker, working with a lot of startups that were raising capital and looking to IBM to validate their technology and give them resources, which I was in charge of, or at least a piece of that. And had a company that I was working with that I was real excited. It was the middle of the .com stuff happening, but I didn't know that the .com was happening because I was in my own little bubble of IBM. And I left to go help him get to market, get capital, do all of that stuff, save the world. And along the way, I figured out number one thing, an arrogant entrepreneur founder has a hard time attracting capital, even if they have really amazing technology. And the second thing is that we were at the beginning of the .com and everything was collapsing. But the third thing that really set me on the path that I am now is that when I was at IBM doing VC and corporate finance, I never had heard of the term angel investing, never heard of an angel investor, but I was invited to go and attend this angel investor meeting. And part of my story is that, it was like I was walking into a secret society room because, angel investing has really been a secret up until a few years ago. And so that I saw sort of like my future there. The guy that had founded that particular angel group wanted to mentor me to take it over. And I was kind of like his Vanna White, running things and learning about how investors looked at deals, how do you screen deals, all of that kind of stuff, putting it all together for him. And then took that group over, and Rand Capital Holdings came out of that along with some other things and rebuilt that angel group to be, at the time, one of the top in the Southeast and top 50 in the country.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure the longer version of that story obviously could be in a book. What inspired you to write Inside Secrets to Angel Investing?
Great. Yeah. And, for people that are looking, you can see it on the screen there, the cover of it. So so one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs that go through your traditional way of raising capital, which is friends and family, angel investors, and venture capital, they tend to get siloed into technology companies, very specific and very regionally focused. And if you don't come from a community that naturally knows wealthy people, it's really hard to figure out, where do I find wealthy people? And it was against the law for entrepreneurs to seek capital from somebody that they didn't already know, that wasn't already a millionaire, up until 2012 when the Jobs Act passed. And so that, by its nature, that's kind of why it has been such a secret for so long, that they changed the rules, because and they had to. I mean, it was really a necessity, but there was really two reasons. Most people think about it as a greater, easier access for entrepreneurs to get access to capital, and for people that no matter what their walk of life, where their perspective is, they've got a good story, they've got a good business model, a good strategy, they can reach out to to people that understand that and can invest in it, customers, people in their community, whatever that might be. It's crowdfunding, right? And so but the thing that a lot of people didn't realize, and still to this day don't really realize, that our government actually did, because they did take solicitation of opinions from people, is that prior to the Jobs Act, when equity crowdfunding was permitted, before it was just reward based. So a lot of the technology that we take for granted now, smartwatches, 3D printers, drones, even the fidget widget, right? All of these things, VR headsets, they all came to market because somebody paid money to get a product early, to get a product that was first coming out early. And what ended up happening is that those companies went on and raised lots of money. I mean, we all kind of know the story of Oculus headsets, right? And this kid in his garage invented this thing, and Zuckerberg loved it, gave him millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. And that anybody that bought that $1,000 Oculus headset when it was first came out as a VR headset, years later, when that company was worth 100 million, a unicorn company because of what the Facebook's investment, what did they have? They had an obsolete headset. But had they invested $1,000 the way millionaires had done for 80 years and made millions on the backs of these companies that become the founders that become billionaires, they would have had maybe $10,000 instead of an obsolete headset. So the Jobs Act really provided for both sides of the equation, raising capital, but also for middle class, upper class, not yet millionaires, to be able to jump the wealth gap, recover the losses they had experienced in the real estate collapse, in the stock market collapse, on all the things that were happening in the Great Recession. And I knew, because of my own experience, people simply did not know how to invest. It's not something that's natural to know how to screen a deal, look at a deal, and figure out if this is a good investment or not. So I wrote Inside Secrets to Angel Investing to be a primer for people. Would you, should you, could you be an angel investor? And how do you go about doing that? And if you don't have the time or this, that, the other, here's some solutions. But get this as an asset class in your portfolio if you want to create wealth. And then I brought that to life with my digital course, which is the Compassionate Capitalist Wealth Maximizing System, which is the pig icon that you have up there in the thing. So
awesome. You've got your finger in a lot of different pies. Talk a little bit kind of about the Cougar Rand Empire and all the different things that you're doing.
Well, the Cougar Rand Empire is really empire. Yeah, it's an empire in making. It's an empire in my heart, right? It's on its way, right? But it is really about creating wealth. It is all about, it has nothing to do with the gold coins. It just sounds like gold coins and sounds like wealth because it's kind of part of a play on my name. But it's really about creating wealth. Wealth as the number one that everybody kind of agrees, as a successful entrepreneur. How do you create financial independence as a successful entrepreneur and get access to the capital that's right for your business, whether it's traditional or direct public offerings? And then how do you invest in those companies? Because you don't want to assume all the risk and pain and suffering and hard work of an entrepreneur that gets to do it once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. You can invest in 10, 20, 30 different entrepreneurs and share in their success without all the risk of being that. So it's really two parallel paths for a common goal of creating wealth, growing our economy, bringing jobs to market. That's the Compassionate Capitalist movement. My own podcast talks about that as with my guests. And that's really what I'm building. I'm leaving a generational story, leaving my legacy, my thumbprint on the world, that they have a better understanding of how these fit together and really the pathway to wealth as an investor and entrepreneurs.
That is awesome. I mean, you've achieved so much success, not just for yourself, but more importantly, for all of your clients. What's your biggest challenge now?
Time, right? I mean, most entrepreneurs, I have to confess, the Great Recession hit me kind of hard, and I've wandered through the woods for a bit, like a lot of entrepreneurs, that you have a big dream and then it goes away, it gets poofed, and you're like, oh my God, I put so much into it as an entrepreneur, right? And then you realize that you're here on this earth there's a purpose and you have a passion for something. There's a purpose for that passion. And my passion is breaking through the noise to show people that this is a great asset class and learn how to do that. And if I can leave a legacy to double, triple, quadruple the number of investors that are out there that they want to figure out how to do this in whatever capacity they have, then my job is done. I've left a legacy and made the world a better place.
That is beautiful. Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
I really love it when the light bulb goes off, when people they go, oh, I had no idea. I mean, and sometimes it takes, I've got to go around and around in a circle with them sometimes to help them understand, because even people that are in incubators advising entrepreneurs about it, they just sort of think that angels come out of magic. They're just sort of like there, just sort of in the wings, waiting to fly their wings and fly in and invest in these entrepreneurs. And they aren't, because the messaging that has been put out by the financial sector for 80 years about angel investing as gambling, as being super risky, that lie that was told to save their own self, because they couldn't tell their clients, oh, I can't advise you on that because I might lose my license. So I have to tell you to buy my stuff or invest in real estate instead. So the only thing I can do is tell you that's gambling. You know what I mean? It's like that paradigm is deep. And I did not realize how deep it was. You know, I wrote the book a few years ago, but nobody was looking for angel investing tips. If I wrote it and said, how do you invest in a company before they get bought and go public and make money doing it? Right? But that's a really bad title. It wouldn't even fit on the size of the book, you know? And so I had to, so I'm figuring it out myself. I'll tell you, Seth, I have the fire in my belly, the passion to complete this. And maybe it's because, I got more years behind me than I have in front of me, but it's like, I have a real passion to accomplish this, because I just see how much entrepreneurs struggle to get really wonderful ideas, really, really working product fully through. And I think, they say that like 1 in 5 companies go out of business, or maybe it's even higher, 2 in the first 5 years. Well, I'll tell you, that's because there's not enough capital out there. And why is there not enough capital? Because people don't know that they can do this. So I'm solving a problem for both sides of the equation. And there's only a win-win that comes out of that.
I love it. And you're on fire. That's awesome. So talk a little bit about the podcast.
So the podcast, ironically, when I first started the podcast a long time ago, when podcasts were used as an SEO trick because nobody actually listened to them. And I did that. And it was a way for me, when the law said you couldn't solicit to non-invest, it was a way for us to get around that by sending it out to our list of investors. And if they clicked on it, we would do short little clips similar to what you do with the entrepreneurs and what they were doing. And then when I wrote the book, and so I sunsetted, it kind of faded away. It was I had renamed it the Compassionate Capitalist Show during the Great Recession, trying to surge up some people and interest and stuff. And then when I came out with the book, one of the things you do with a book is you get on podcasts. And so, but I didn't like, who was I at that point? I'd been, like I said, wandering through the woods in the wilderness. And I said, oh, wait, I got a podcast and I know how to do this. And I have all these connections on LinkedIn of venture capitalists and angel investors and people that have gone through the journey themselves and come out the other side and became an investor, and great stories to tell. And let me research it. Let me get it going again. And along the way, I will plant those seeds of how to be an angel investor, how to be a crowdfunding investor, while I'm in the ears of people that have the potential to do that, because they're business oriented people. It's a business podcast, one of the top ones, as yours is, that to understand best principles for building and growing a business to exit, and investing in one, and what does it mean to know what the red flags might be that could kill your investment.
Awesome. For our folks who are watching and listening and want to learn more, where's the best place for them to learn more about you, the podcast, and the book?
Well, I mean, KarenRands.co is my website. I also have a link tree that I think you'll have it in the notes. It's bit.ly /link little letters CCS for Compassionate Capitalist Show. And that has everything. It has the book, it has all the podcast links, it has the link to the intro to angel investing and crowdfunding investing. It's got and book appointment with me. All of that stuff is on that.
Awesome. Well, this has been Seth Greene for Sharkpreneur with Karen Rands of Cougar Rand and Karen Rands. Karen, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, Seth. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening, and we'll talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.